Hello, everybody. Welcome in. And how are we doing? It's the weekend, and you know what that means. That means we're back, and we've got racing action for all our viewers at home and at work, or wherever it is that you are viewing from today, for you to stay entertained and help pass a little bit of time away. So we're back, presented by the GTRC, the Gran Turismo Racing Community. We've been commentating, pardon me, with this community for over 3 years now. We've done over half a dozen seasons, and boy, they just keep getting better and better. I tell you what, last weekend we started with our Group 2 Major Championship season, round 1 at Barcelona, Catalunya, without the chicane layout, and we had a stacked grid of Group 2 cars out there last weekend, and what a doozy of a race that the GTRC threw down with those Group 2 cars. So we're going to change things up a little bit here this week, and we're into our Mini Championship Series now. And the Mini Championship Series choice this season is the Audi Group 4 TT Cup Series 2016 version race car. So essentially it's a tour car series. And we see this thing racing in real life in TCS competitions all over the world, North America, Europe. It's a car that's on track still to this day and quite popular. It's a very beautiful and sleek, sexy looking race car as well. So it's a front wheel drive race car, so tires are definitely going to be a factor here for these drivers, but it is a 3 times tire wear and 3 times fuel consumption race. It's a 50-minute duration here, 5-0, and hard racing tires are the tires of choice here. So there is a mandatory pit stop here in the series, but that is it. The drivers can drive through if they want. They can stop and take tires if they want. They can add fuel if they want, but there's no mandate on what to do with that pit stop. It is a mandatory stop and go drive through basically for our pit requirements here today. So it is going to be full send racing here in these Audi TT Cup cars this season, and in my experience with these little cars, they produce really good tight close racing. And if we have anything of what I just saw in practice here going to happen on the racetrack today in this endurance race to start our season opener, we're in for an absolute treat, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what. All right, so there it is, Red Bull Ring on the screen in front of us. It is a 2.68 mile racetrack, 4.3 kilometers, has 10 left and right hand turns. It is a tarmac road surface. It's a real world circuit and has an elevation change of 214 feet from its highest point to its lowest point on the racetrack. We'll talk a little bit more about Red Bull Ring when we get a chance. All right, so we're just waiting for qualifying to start at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. I see you, Ruben Nolander, the damn cat up in the house there as well. I see you all over there on YouTube as well. Welcome in. Do us a favor, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like and share before you leave the broadcast here today. It's just a free thing you can do to help us grow, and it literally takes 30 seconds, so we appreciate that. If you've done so already, you're legends. We appreciate the continued support. And I'm your host for the evening, GT45 Gaming, family-friendly broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be a 2 hot lap qualifier with a 50-minute race and podium interviews for our top 3 drivers at the end of the day as well. So should be about an hour 45-minute broadcast here today for everybody. And well, I guess we gotta wait to see what happens. These TT Cup cars are fun. I'm a fan. I love these cars personally, so I'm excited to see what it is that these drivers are going to throw down here for us today on the racetrack. Like I said, we were watching a little sprint race here on the racetrack before we went live from the production team here, and these guys were putting on a show in that little sprint race to warm up here today. So we are most certainly going to see a show today. So that's right, we got the screen switching over, so we are getting ready to start qualifying conditions. So we got race control just setting it all up here right now. How's it going, Ruben? Appreciate you, my guy. Nolander, I see you too. I see everybody in there. Lots of love, everybody. Lots of love. All right, let's kick it. Got a nice little lobby reset. That is the sign that we are getting underway here for qualifying conditions. All right. So race control will give the word when these drivers can start. There we go. Alright, so it's going to be TT's Pagans to take us out first here on track at Red Bull Ring here today. So this is going to be the out lap. So this lap won't count for their qualifying time, and then they'll have 2 laps after that to get the best time they can around the racetrack, and that is going to determine where the drivers will start on our starting grid here today to do our 50-minute race here today. So it will be set obviously fastest first to slowest in last place, but we got a pretty stacked driver field here in this Audi TT Cup Series here today, and it starts with TT Pigham. So let's go through a quick look at our field here before we get on our flying laps, because it's a short track, so it'll happen quick. We've got Doug Burrow here from Team Rad in second on track. We've got Supra here third out on track. We've got Type R here fourth out on track. We've got Hair Razor from Team Rad fifth out on track. We've got Badass from 10 Tenths sixth out on track. We got Ken Neely here seventh out on track, I believe, independent. We got Pappy here as well, back this season, another independent driver. We've got 1010 Subi Mark here ninth out on track. We've got Mike 1972 here out on track as well, and we've got Bar 27 from 1010s out on track here as well. So 11 drivers here to start our season off with today, and I'm just going to make sure all my audios are working. Let me know if it's not loud enough, ladies and gentlemen. We can make some adjustments. Aaron coming in with that thumbs up. Alright, so it is Pigham's here. So now as we go through turn number 1, we'll do an on-board here, and this is a Nicky Lauda curve, and you gotta be careful on your exit here. If you put 2 tires past that white line on the track edge there, the track officials may give you a track limit infraction here, and you definitely don't want to see that. So this is Pigham's here coming through turn 2, heading into turn number 3. This is the hardest braking zone on the racetrack. Ramus, you want to just clip that apex, and then you got to be a little patient when you're on your throttle, especially in the front wheel drive cars, because you get a large amount of understeer if you try to get too early on the throttle, and that's going to force you out wide. So it's a lot of throttle management. So here now we're going to set up for turn 4. We're going to move it all the way over to the left, and they're going to be semi-hard on the brakes, probably a second gear corner here, and then back up into third gear fairly quickly for the exit here. And as we head through Outer Schlossgold, now we're heading in through the worst curves, and this is the S's here now leading up into the final couple corners of the racetrack. So again, it's a very short lap here at Red Bull Ring. As you can see, about a minute and a half laps here as these guys are flying. We'll see about anywhere between about a minute 36 to a minute 40, I'm assuming, here today. 36 could be really on the fast end here, I think. So it's going to be Pigham's across through first, and then we'll try to get all the drivers as they come through here. We have a little cluster of drivers in the mid-pack, so... And then they're only going to have one more attempt after this lap here as well. So it is only 2 flying laps here for our drivers in our Audi TT Cup Series here today. And this is round 1, our season opener. So welcome in, everybody. And Pigham's going to come through. Obviously, he's sitting in pole with a 37.5. Doug's going to come through. He's going to stay in second place for the time being. Let's see what Supra has as he comes through. It's going to be third place there for Supra. Type R comes through, stays in 4th. Hair Razor jumps up into 3rd place. We got Badass moves up into 5th. We got Type R in 6th. We got Ken Neely here. He's going to move up into 5th place. So that is Pappy here. He's going to move up into 3rd place. Subi Mark coming down here, and it's going to be 2nd place for Mark. We got his Mike's 1972 have on his first lap as he comes across. It is going to be a 4th place run there for him, and Bar 27, the last driver to come through on his first official lap, is going to move himself up into 9th. So currently it is Pigham's here in provisional pole, and a half-second track limit penalty here on his second flying lap. That is pretty much going to kill this lap for him. From there, it's a Doug Burrow in behind, and he is our 2nd place driver, currently sitting in 3rd place, pardon me, driver sitting in qualifying here. He is, I believe, 2nd out on track. Alright, so unfortunately for Pigham's here, that half-second penalty is going to relate to a slower lap time this time around. We got Doug Burrow is up on his lap, and right now he's up enough to take 2nd place over from Subi Mark, who's currently sitting in 2nd place. So we'll stay with Doug here, as obviously Pigham's with that penalty. It's probably not going to be an improvement on his lap there. It's very close, actually, to maybe stealing pole position here as well, if he can maintain that pace around the last couple corners here as we come through Red Bull Mobile. Pigham's obviously does not make the improvement there, so Doug does improve, but it is not good enough to overtake Subi for 2nd place here. So let's try to find that next group of cars here. And we got no improvements there from Hair Razor. We got Badass coming through. Do not see an improvement there from Badass either. We got Ken Neely comes through. No improvement there. Where is Bar and Mike? There's Mike. Pappy's in 5th place here, looking real good to start this thing off with. Mike does improve, but he's going to stay in 4th position here. And Bar 27 is going to come through, and he's going to jump up into 6th there. So a good final lap there for Bar 27. He goes right up into the mid-pack there with that lap, and that is qualifying right there, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to just take some stuff off the screen for a second so we can try and get a nice little race photo here. Alright, so it's going to be 2 minutes to get things started here. We're going to try and get a different camera shot for the cars. Oh, way to ruin the picture. Nothing better than live action shots, chat. Happy Pappy with a great qualifying time here today at Red Bull Ring, and Dark Horse here maybe today in round 1. Oh. Of course the angle changed. Just trying to get some good pictures here. Yeah, that's what the picture we were trying to get. Trying to get the right camera angle here. It ain't giving it to me though. Yeah, that one's not bad. Yeah, it doesn't want to play nice anymore. Alright. How's it going? How you doing, Stefan? Oh, if I was there, I'd just bomb everyone to be Aaron. Ribbon Aaron. Stefan coming in with the thumbs up on the stream. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Alright, so we'll be kicking this thing off here shortly. We're just going to do a quick stream check, make sure everything is working all right. That is the big important matter. We had a little issue with our stream earlier this week, and it was a software related issue, so we just want to make sure that everything's moving like it should be. Almost missed a race. Well, you got in just in the nick of time, my dude, so that's the important thing. Alright, looks like race control is just getting all the drivers to verify that they're ready here, so we should be kicking here shortly. And if you're commenting on the GT45 Gaming YouTube channel and I haven't seen your comments, I apologize. It is not updating on my chat screen. Again, the thing is streamer problems. I mean, what else can I say? We can bring our information back up here too before the race starts, so we don't hopefully have to do it when the race starts. Alright, so we're going to be a 50-minute endurance race here today. Again, there is a mandatory pit stop here in the race, but there is no mandatory pit requirements. They just have to do basically a drive-through pit stop here in the series, and it is racing hard tires only for the series. So I mean, there's really no probably no reason to have to change the tires, most likely. That's going to be dependent on each driver, how hard they drive the car, how much wheel slide they do, all that great stuff. But for the first time this season here, kick them tires, light them fires. We're going cup racing, ladies and gentlemen, and we are just waiting for race control to drop the green flag here. So we got 11 Audi TT 2016 cup cars on the racetrack. Let's go racing, touring car style, ladies and gentlemen. And we're off and we're green. Looks like everybody gets a good start off the line and barreling down into turn one. We're 4 wide in the middle of the pack here. We've seen this in the group twos going into Barcelona, and then everybody sorted out. So Pagums gets a great start there out of pole position. We got Doug Burrow in second, with Mark immediately putting pressure on him, and Mike looking to make it 3 wide here as we head up in towards Ramus, but Doug covers off that line and pulls up in front of Mike there, and he's going to defend the position here for now. But it is spicy racing here right up in the front end of the pack, and we're 2 by 2 all the way back to the back of the pack here. But we're going to stick with this battle for second and third place here as they come through turn 3 for the first time. Great side-by-side racing by Doug and Mark here, and Mark is not going to be able to get that position. He's going to settle back in line in third position for the time being, I'm sure. Hair Raiser and Bar 27 now having a battle here, and this is for 5th and 6th place here, and this is only lap 1, and here we go already. And great side-by-side action here, but Hair Raiser has that optimal inside line, gets a great run through the corner. Bar 27 not so much a great line there. Now he's under fire from Happy Pappy here, who qualified in 5th place here, remember, so down a couple spots early on in the race here, but just being patient, and the races are off. So right, Happy Pappy is just settled into the line here, and we're basically just in that nose-to-tail lineup here. We got Supra in 8th position. We got Badass up a couple spots here in 9th place. We got Ken Neely here in 10th. We got Type R in the back of the field here in 11th place, but all 11 drivers basically nose-to-tail here as we're coming around Red Bull Mobile corner for the first time and getting ready to start lap number 2, and we are racing. What a clean race start here by this group again this weekend, and these racers are most certainly here to race today. Alright, so it is Pigums in the lead from pole position. Doug Burrow in 2nd place. That's where he qualified. Mark right there in 3rd. We got Mike in 4th position. We got Hair Raiser in 5th, and he's very closely followed by Bar 27. Happy Pappy right there in 7th place, with Super just in behind him here in 8th position. Badass right there in 9th place, and everybody just about car length separating each other right now, being smart, being patient, just doing their thing here at the moment. We got Ken Neely in 10th position there in behind, and Type R in 11th place, and again everybody just moving and grooving here. They are on these racing hard tires, so they do need to give these tires a couple of laps to really start to warm up a little bit, and then they can probably start to push a little bit more. So welcome in, Jay. How you doing, brother? Nigel coming, or Nala, pardon me, coming in with that thumbs up on the stream. Welcome in, Nala. It's been a long time. Hope you're doing good. But it is Pigums here in the lead, and he's got almost a second, so he's almost broken the slipstream here from Doug Barrow right now. At this point in the race, we got Mark still tucked in behind Doug, basically 1 car length separating 2nd and 3rd and 4th place here right now, and that leaves Mike 1972 just in behind here in 4th place, and Hair Raiser just off about 2 seconds in behind here right now in 5th position, and he's almost broken that slipstream from Bar 27 here, almost, as we're heading around right here, heading into Red Bull Mobile for the 2nd time here today. We got a nice, good, clean race start on our hands here, and the drivers, well, you can see not a whole lot of separation here right now on the racetrack. One little mistake can definitely cost these drivers positions here, and you know, the sim racing community calls Red Bull Ring the penalty ring here on Gran Turismo 7. Penalties are most certainly going to factor in to this race here today. Supra in 8th position. We got Badass here in 9th place, and his return to sim racing. He's been away for a while, so it's nice to see him back on track. We've got Ken Neely here in 10th place, and we got Type R here in 11th position. Alright, but it is Pigums here. He is our defending mini-series champion from last season, and he's going to be looking to repeat that championship here this season. So this is the man that has the target on his back here this season, and the guy in 2nd place is definitely the guy that has his sights set on that championship, because, well, Pigums is the one that took his 5th championship start away from him last season. So Doug is going to be looking to try and gain that star here at the Gran Turismo racing community. And when these guys win a championship here in the community, they get a Hamilton star, so to speak. Very close representation of it that they put on their car to signify that they're a GTRC championship driver. And have won a championship here in the community. So to some of these drivers, that is very, very important. And to Doug Burrow, that fifth one, he was really looking forward to that. And Pick'em stuck it away from him. So could be looking for some redemption here in this mini championship. And these two had a spectacular race earlier on here today as well in free practice. So I think we're in for some great racing from these guys, especially near the end of this race. We got Mark in third place and Mike in fourth place. And I mean, our top four are all nose to tail here right now. Second separates the 4 cars from first to fourth place here currently. Hair Racer in fifth place. He's got a 3-second gap right now from that group, and he's got a little bit of separation here on bar 27, but bar is starting to close that gap back up here on Hair Racer slowly but surely. He's got a pack. I mean, he's got Happy Pappy right in underneath his tail wing here. Super is right there in behind. Badass is right there. We got a nice little 4-way pack of cars here now, only separated by a second as well. Super here, unfortunately, with a half-second track limit infraction, and that could be a little devastating for him, as Badass is right there in striking distance. Oh, but he's picked one up as well, unfortunately, here, and it's not going to be no harm, no foul there. So Ken Neely and Type R here in the 10th and 11th place aren't going to gain those positions from those two, but they're definitely going to be able to close up some of that distance. Championship star, you say? That is what I say. You betcha. Way to go, Jay. Way to go. Alright, we got Doug here in second place, we got Mark in third, and we got Mike in fourth. So third, fourth, and fifth place are very close together. Our leader has a small separation to those 3 drivers in behind him. It's about 2 car lengths right now. So this front group is on a charge. And I guess when are they going to start battling? It might just be a follow the leader type situation here right now until one of these drivers makes a mistake, because if these guys start battling hard, it is very quickly going to turn into losing the pack in front or allowing the pack in behind to gain. So it's a little bit of decision making from these 4 drivers here in a sense as well as they continue up the racetrack. Hair Razor here in 5th place, 3.8 seconds, and he's just chilling right now in the middle of the racetrack. He's got 2.2 seconds in behind him, so he's in a comfortable position here right now, but obviously he would like to be closer to that front pack. Let's Go TT did show. Jay. Oh, Jay. We got bar 27 here in 6th place, and Happy Pappy has been all over the rear bumper of bar 27 here over the last couple laps of this race. Let's stick with this here for a minute as we got Pappy, and he's going to take a look on the outside. Bar goes on the defense here. Is he going to get a little cutback move coming out of turn number 4 here? Nope, but he is going to settle back in behind bar 27. And again, now this is allowing Supra and Badass to close up. Well, every time these guys battle just a tiny little bit, the rest of those Audis are going to close right back up. This is almost as good as Miata Racing. These TT Cup cars, they punch a pretty big hole in the air. They got pretty good slipstream, and if you allow that driver that's chasing it behind you, you get within that slipstream range, they are going to close up on your back door. So it's much like the Miatas. The goal is to break the toe. Let's go Team Rad, let's go TT. Hey, lots of love coming in, we'd love to see it. Happy Pappy here. This is the dark horse here today. He qualified 5th in this race. One of our Pro-Am drivers here in the series, and he has been looking awfully spicy in this Cup car here today. And you just never know what cars these drivers are really their best with as well, right? So here we go. It's going to be Pigums in our race lead here still, but Doug Burrow has closed right up, and here we go. This is going to be a battle between these two. Doug taking a look there. Pigums is going to go defensive, and Mark and Mike in behind now, just watching things going down, and ooh, side-by-side action for first and second and third and fourth place here. Mark is going to pay dividends on third. He's going to hold that position for Mike as Mike took a little look there but wasn't able to get the run, and here we go. Pigums and Doug side-by-side coming into turn number 4 here in Schlossgold, and Doug takes a big run on the outside. There he goes in really late on the brakes to try and get that run on Pigums, and it may have worked there, and that was a nice nice move on the outside right there by Dougbro, and now Mark's going to try and follow him through on the inside, heading into the Worth curves here, and it is side-by-side action in second and third place between teammates Pickums and Mark is going to get the job done, and Pickums quickly loses 2 positions there in just a couple of corners, and that is how easy it is to lose and gain positions in Audi TT Cup racing, ladies and gentlemen, as though Dougbro now takes over the lead of the race with Mark in second, Pickums in third, and Mike is still just hanging out there in fourth place. He's chilling right now. He's playing that patience game right now, and that is a very, very, very smart game that Mike is playing right here, because every time that these guys continue to battle up front, they're wearing their race car out. He's just chilling back there going, yeah, okay, you guys keep fighting. When eventually one of you is going to make that mistake. Hair Razor in 5th place, 5 seconds to gap here from him to that front pack, so he really is kind of relying on that front pack to battle more right now, because he doesn't have that slipstream help. That's a 4-car train there, and they're going to continue to open the gap on Hair Razor here unless he gets a helper to start working with here. We got Happy Pappy's now moved up into 6th position, so Happy Pappy is now moving up the field, and obviously Bar 27 having an issue here on the racetrack at some point as he's dropped down a few positions. Badass has moved up into 7th place. He's gotten around Supra. Supra's going to take a look here up the inside into Remus, and he didn't quite have the position, so he backed off there. That was great recognition by the racers, and great racing right now here between Supra Badass and Pappy and Bar, but a little bit of separation here, so I'm not sure what happened there between the 4 drivers, but they've all swapped spots around. Bar's now in the backside of this group in 9th position. We got Type R here. He's made his way around Ken Neely, and we got Ken Neely here in 11th position, and I believe that he is fairly new to league racing, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what he was saying in the Discord last week, so we love to see him on track, and he's in there putting the seat time in, and before he knows it, he's going to be up here battling with these guys, so that is what it's all about. But it is Mark now in the race lead, as Doug has a penalty there, and he's going to lose 3 positions with that penalty. And again, Audi TT Cup racing is just like to me out as they punch a hole, and when these guys are close together, you make one little mistake and it could cost you several positions. That half-second track limit penalty just cost Doug 3 of them. If that was the end of the race, he would have just missed out on the podium right there. So it is very, very crucial to keep it right and tight on this racetrack, because the race officials don't hesitate to hand out track limit penalties here. They really want these racers keeping it within the track limits. So it's Mark and Piggums here in 1st and 2nd. We got Mike now up into 3rd place, and that patience paying off. He hasn't been aggressive at all. He hasn't made any hard offensive moves here. He's just sat in the lineup, and he's just watched everything happen, and he's just taken advantage of the mistakes being made in front of him. And currently right now has himself in 3rd place, but a half-second track limit penalty there is going to hurt that a little bit. Doug here is now in 4th position. He's still in that pack, and he's still in the slipstream there, so the penalty didn't at least break that slipstream distance for him, so he's not going to lose the pack quickly here. Hair Razor's 4.5 seconds, so he gained his second on that group with that little bit of the transitional change there just from Doug serving that penalty. So that is how easy it is to lose time and gain time in these cars. Happy Pappy in 6th place, 5.7 seconds from Hair Razor, and he's broken free of that mid-pack a little bit here. He's got 1.1 seconds on Badass here in 7th position, and he has a whole mirror full of white and black blue Audi of Supra in behind him here. Supra's going to take a look up into the inside here, and there's a 1-second penalty there from Badass as well, and a little bit of contact there between the two cup car drivers here, and Supra is going to get that position, so is Bar 27, so Badass is going to fall back in behind that train there, and that 1-second penalty is actually may even break the toe a little bit here, but that's all right. We got Ken Neely and Type R battling for 10th and 11th place here, and Ken Neely is going to take it up on the outside there, as I believe there was a penalty being served by Type R, and Ken Neely now going to move up into 10th position, and he may have picked up a penalty there on that corner. It looked like a wide exit, but just because that's what it looks like to us doesn't mean that's exactly how it is in track officials' eyes. So it's Mark here in the lead, 6/10 of a second right now. We're only on lap 9. We're only 14 minutes into this race, so we still got like 36 minutes remaining. And so far the action has been pretty good here, but now we're starting to see a little bit of separation. The drivers are starting to pick up penalties. They're starting to make mistakes. We did see that one of the keys in the race here today is going to be remaining penalty-free. Penalties are going to hurt you in this series, so we've seen that already. And with Doug and I'm assuming Mike there now as well. Those penalties start to take you off the pack. A little bit of a slide there from our second place driver Piggums there as he was coming into the Worth curve. So we got Doug and Mike here in third and fourth place. They're nose to tail right now, and that front four really hasn't changed too much since the start of the race. Hair Razor here in fifth place, and again, now that they're not battling, you can see that gap is slowly starting to open back up as that 4-car train is just a little bit stronger than a 1-car solo train here right now. Happy Pappy in sixth place. He's got 6 seconds here from that front pack, so he's kind of the leader of the back half of the pack here right now, and I mean only 6 seconds separating, so at some point in the race these just pit stops are going to have to happen. We'll probably see most of these drivers just drive through pit lane if I had to guess. We have Supra here in 7th position with Barr now in 8th and Badass in 9th. Now Badass has almost gotten back into that slipstream here, which will help him reel up back into this pack here. We got Ken Neely and Type R here in 10th and 11th. They're only 6 seconds in behind, so it's about a 24-second gap from first place to last place here right now in the field. And well, it's Cup Racing. It's TT Cup Racing. This is about the part of the race where this usually happens now. Everybody's settled into the rhythm. Strategy, there isn't a whole lot of strategy, I don't think, when it comes to these races this season. It's pretty much a full send race with a required pit stop. That's it. They have to drive the hard tires the whole season, and it is random weather. So with that being said, rain is not an impossibility here. It is Red Bull Ring. It is Austria. This is one of the tracks in the game that rain is weathered in. The weather model is placed here at this racetrack, so it could happen. We don't know. It's a weather multiplier of 3 times, so the weather moves 3 times faster than it would as a normal day. So 24 hours essentially turns into an 8-hour window instead. But it is still Mark leading the charge here. He's got teammate Piggums right in behind. It's 0.3 of a second. They've got a gap right now on third place driver Doug Burrows, 1.5 seconds, so they've broken that toe. And we did say that it's important in these cars to break the toe. It's like those Mazda Miatas. If they're in the toe, you're never going to lose them. But the moment you break that toe, you make it very hard for that driver to get caught back up into that slipstream. And we're starting to see that in that front group. We're starting to see 2 packs instead of 1. We got Hair Razor here in 5th place, and that is good news for him because it's a little bit easier to deal with 2 cars working together than it is 4 cars working together when you're a solo driver trying to catch that pack. We got Happy Pappy here in 6th place, and he's having a great race right now. Big slide on the braking though as he comes into turn 1. It actually kind of looked like it worked out for him there, but they are going to slap him with a penalty there as he really was had cut that inside apex quite a bit. I said that our track officials here at Red Bull Ring they're ruthless. They don't care. They will hand it out. We got Supra here in 7th place. We've got Bar 27 here in 8th position here as well as he comes around. And the gap is 1.2 seconds to Supra, so he is out of that slipstream there as well. And that's good for Badass. That means Badass may potentially be able to close up that gap to Bar 27 here, getting his toe, and then they can work together to catch up to that group up in front potentially. We have Ken Neely here in 10th place and Type R here in 11th position. So all right, here we go. We are 17.5 minutes into this race here at Red Bull Ring, and wow, that was Mike 1972. I'm not sure if that was net coding we saw or if he really went that wide, but if he went that wide, I'm certainly we're gonna be seeing a penalty handed out there. And just as we say that, our leader gets handed a half-second track limit infraction here as well, coming out of the Worth curves at some point. He picked up a penalty there, and he's gonna have to serve that next time around as well. So Piggum should probably take the race lead over at that point, but that's going to allow Doug and Mike to close in on Mark there, and that is not ideal for him as he was currently broke free from that pack catching in behind. We got Hair Razor here in 5th place. And no immediate battles developing. Bar 27 is starting to close back in on that group in front of him here. Badass is about 1.8 seconds in behind here right now. He's just kind of chilling on his pace here right now. He's just racing his race at the moment. So it is our race leader here. Now what's going to happen here is when we come out of the Worth curves and we're heading up the hill into turn 9 and 10, there's a penalty serving zone there. And that penalty serving zone is called an electronic enforcement penalty serving zone here at Gran Turismo 7. And essentially it's a wire under a racetrack that when these race cars drive past that wire, there's a what we call a transponder unit attached to these race cars that's dialed into each driver, and when that unit goes over that wire, it registers that car number. So this half-second track limit penalty we see on TT Subi Mark here, when he crosses that line, what will happen is it will cut the engine power out of this car for that half a second, and the driver will not be able to use any throttle at all in this car. And then from there, once that half second is up, automatic engine power is restored and the driver can continue on with this race. And that penalty serving zone is right here, so you can see him pull out. He's going to lose that power for half a second there, and then he's right back on it again. It doesn't cost you too much here at Red Bull Ring. That's about 3/4 of a second penalty in the long run when you got a car chasing you there. So you can see he didn't even lose the position there. All that did was just allow the drivers in behind to close back up on him. So he actually did a really good job to open the gap up on his teammate in behind him to make sure that position didn't swap around. And Doug and Mike have just nibbled into that slipstream now of second place driver Pigham. So this is potentially going to be turning back into a four-way pack here in the next couple laps. Hair Razor 7 seconds in behind those guys, but he's in a comfortable spot right now. He's got no pressure from behind, so he can continue just really working on trying to put clean solid laps in and clean air. Happy Pappy here, he's leading this pack. He's in 6th place, but now Super's starting to close in. Bar 27's right there as well, so a little bit of pressure starting to be had here in 6th, 7th, and 8th place between these three drivers, but he had a good run through turn number 1 there through the Niki Lauda curve, and as he heads into Ramus here for the 13th time in this race, he's looking good here. He's looking solid today. This driver we've seen a large improvement out of over the last couple seasons, and he's getting quick. I love to see it. Super here in 7th position. He's got a half-second track limit penalty here, and penalties are really going to hurt the drivers here today. Bar 27 should be able to take advantage of that potentially, and if not, get the position very, very close to quickly close up. We got Badass here. He's about 4 seconds in behind here, so has made a couple of mistakes, I think, somewhere along the way in the racetrack here, but that's all right. He's still on track and still putting in the time here. We got Type R in 10th and Ken Neely here in 11th place, and these two have been very close together all race long as well, so there's somebody battling with somebody at some point somewhere on this racetrack, and that is definitely what matters. Yeah, that's absolutely right, ATV, and then that's where the strategy may come into play. And some drivers may opt to take fresh racing hard tires on when they make their pit stops. Some may choose not to change their tires, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens when the pit stops finally do start to happen. Again, it is a mandatory pit stop here today, but there's no mandate on what to do in that pit stop, so the drivers can just do a drive-through pit stop if that's what they choose to do. So they'll come into pit lane, they'll stop in their pit box, and if they don't take tires and fuel and have no damage to repair, they will just literally stop, and the lollipop man will lift that sign and they'll just take right back off and continue back on with their race. So when the drivers choose to stop, it's going to be interesting to see. Potentially in this kind of style of racing, you usually see them stop very early in the race, or you usually see them stop very late in the race. So I suspect that's probably what we're going to see here today as well. Good battles everywhere. Yeah, facts. That is facts. Right now it's patient driving. We're not seeing a whole lot of hard battling happening here. And again, these racers are aware, I think now at this point, that just because of the little bit of battling they've had, they've already seen how quickly that these gaps can continue on these race cars, and we're seeing some smart racing happening here. We got Hair Razor chasing here, and he's just off that pack right now. He's in no man's land, we like to call that. And it's a tough feeling as a racer to be stuck in that position, but you just got to think to yourself, hey, I got clean racing air and I've got no pressure. I could just fly around this racetrack right now, and that's the mentality you got to hold as a racer when you're in no man's land, as I like to call it. So that's where Hair Razor is right now, and really he's in a good spot where he could just push. He's got no pressure. He's got nothing to worry about right now. Happy Pappy in 6th, Super in 7th, and Bar 27 here in this three-way pack here. Nothing has changed here right now, and again, this is mid-race style racing here. We don't see a lot of aggressive movement here throughout the pack typically in this part of the race. Drivers are trying to save some tires. They're trying to salvage a little bit of fuel. I think they're probably assessing their opponents on the racetrack from time to time as well, and it's just patient driving here. You know, if a driver makes a mistake, then you'll see a position swap or a little battle happen there, but other than that, right now is just pretty calculated driving in the middle part of the race. We will most certainly see things start to amp up with about 15 minutes left in the race, and a little bit of an early break there from Supra. Caught Bar 27 out a little bit early there, and there's a little bit of nose to tail contact there. Now it is heavy damage model here, and it does look like that we do have Supra picked up a little bit of damage in that exchange, so yeah, that's unfortunate there, but not sure what, just again, calculating, trying not to run into the driver in front of him there, and I think just a mistake made there, but a little bit of contact between the two drivers, and that is going to definitely affect Supra's racing car having that rear end damage. Now, remember, these are Group 4 cars, essentially, right? So they don't have a whole lot of aerodynamic package to them to begin with, but they still do have a little bit there, so if you do pick up that damage, it is most certainly going to affect these race cars. It's going to affect them. Rear damage will affect how stable the rear end is under braking, and it's definitely going to affect top speed in a straight line. So unfortunate there, but that's racing. And we got, looks like Piggums is coming into pit lane here. So Piggums is going to make his pit stop here. So Mark's going to stay out. So what is Piggums going to do? Let's stay on board. Doug is also going to come into pit lane here. And judging by what I'm seeing here, we're going to be seeing some splashes of fuel going into some of these racing cars. Whether or not we're going to see tires, we're about to find out. Not dealing with dirty air might help. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps the tire stint. 100% ATB, you're not wrong. Alright, we're going to stick with this because we're definitely curious to see what the drivers are opting to do here. Looks like we see a tire exchange going on there. We're going to see tires happen here as well. So it does look like the drivers are opting to get onto some fresh compounded tires here. And while fuel is definitely a factor in the race here today. I wasn't sure if fuel was going to factor in or not. These cars are pretty good on fuel, these TT Cup cars for the most part, but at the pace these guys are driving them around the racetrack here, they are, like I said, full sending these race cars. So when you're full sending this race car, that means you're revving this thing right to the beans. It's going to use fuel. So not surprised to see that we're going to see splashes of fuel here. Now some drivers might not take the tires. I mean, that's a 3-second pit lane save just by not changing your tires. So it's going to be interesting to see if anybody decides to double stint their tires here today. We got Bar 27 now up in the 4th place. So Piggums comes out in 5th. Doug comes out in 6th. Ken Neely's in 7th. Got Hair Razor in behind him there in 8th place. We got Type R now there in 9th. We got Supra out in 10th position, and that puts Badass here in 11th place, and he has also hit the pit lane as well. So we got Mark now coming into pit lane, so we got the overcut undercut strategy happening here right now. We're going to be interested to see how that works out at the end of the race between Subi, Mark, and Piggums and Doug and Mike. They're that little front 4-way group. So Mike is going to take the race lead over here. So he's our 3rd race leader today as he comes around with that pit stop from Subi Mark there, and it's going to be Happy Pappy to move up into 2nd place as he continues on down the racetrack here as well. And again, this guy is having a great race here today. Dark horse of the day here potentially is Pappy. Alright, so we do have Mark coming out of pit lane here, and Piggums was in 2nd place when the pit stop sequence started here, so let's see where he comes out in relation to his teammate, and he's actually just going to jump ahead of Mark there. So overcut, undercut, looks like the undercut just slightly worked there in this situation, so Mark's going to slot in 4th place there. We got Doug here in 5th, we got Hair Razor here in 6th place, we got Type R in 7th, we got Bar now coming out of pit lane, so he's made his pit stop here. Supra in 9th position. We got Ken Neely now making his pit stop, and we got Badass coming around to take that position as he makes his stop. So I believe all but Mike and Happy Pappy have cleared that mandatory pit stop here. So just our top 2 drivers here waiting to make their mandatory pit stop here. Now again, there's no mandatory tire change, there's no mandatory fuel here, there's no anything like that. It is up to the drivers and what they're going to do with their pit stop when they do make their pit stop. So it's going to come down to each race, each track combination, what they do to the tires, what they do to the fuel of these cars, and how well these drivers are able to fuel save and tire manage these cars and keep pace as well. So there's a lot of things happening here in this race. It's that gamble of pit time save versus on-track pace, always the big gamble in racing. So Pappy's going to stay out. He's going to go around for another run here. So Happy Pappy's now going to take over the lead of this race, and he's going to be our 4th race leader here today, and that'll be our 3rd lead change here now as these, again, pit stop sequences continue to roll through here at about the midway point of the race. So Piggums retains the race lead here, and he just got teammate Mark right back on his rear bumper here in 3rd position. We got Doug there in 4th place. He's 1.6 seconds in behind, and Mike just coming out of pit lane here and slots right back into where he was here when this all started as well, in 5th place. Hair Razor's about 10 seconds behind in 6th place here. Bar 27 now is leading that middle pack here, that nice little pack we had going on there up into 7th place. You still got Supra less than 2 seconds in behind here in 8th, and we've got Type R now in the pit lane here, so Badass is coming around, and it's going to be about 14 seconds in behind that pack there, and Type R is just coming into his pit box here, so him and Ken Neely should end up very close together here, I believe, again as well, once he finishes his pit stop. So Happy Pappy now the only racer left to clear that mandatory pit stop. Now clearly he's going to have to take fuel. We still have 20 minutes and 30 seconds of racing left, and he's got less than a quarter tank of fuel left in his car, so at some point he is going to make a pit stop. When that is, it's hard to say. He's got lots of tire underneath of him there, so he's done a great job at managing his tires so far in this car. So is he going to be the one driver that tries to do the no tire change, the double stinted tires? It's hard to say. It is a gamble, and it's a decision I think that if I were racing the series, I would seriously actually contemplate myself, just because I'm very comfortable driving this particular car mainly. But Pappy's in a position where he could double stint these tires, so we'll see what he does with it. We got Pigums here in 2nd place, we got Mark here in 3rd place, and when Pappy finally does decide to make his pit stop, these drivers should take back over the race lead. Doug Burrow chasing here in 4th, with Mike in 5th place, 4.5 seconds in behind. We got Hair Razor here in 6th position as well, and 8 seconds now, so he's exactly right back where he was before the pit stop sequence here, and just lost that pack early on in the race, and unfortunately he just hasn't really been able to gain it back. We got Bar 27 here, and I mean he's got a little distance between himself and Hair Razor here as well, and then he's got 1.5 seconds to Supra here in 8th place, and then it's 15 seconds to Badass in behind here in 9th position as well. We got Type R here in 10th place, and we got Ken Neely here in 11th position. And as I suspected, these two are right back together here again after that pit stop sequence. So really where our eyes are on Happy Pappy here right now. He's got 6.6 seconds now. I believe that was 8 seconds when we went through the field there that last time around between him and Pigums, Mark, Doug, and Mike chasing him behind. And he's chilling. He's in no rush. He's just going to keep on going. Like I said, he's got great tires right now underneath of him. He's still got probably 5 or 6 laps of fuel left in the tank of this car yet. He may be able to get this thing close to the 10 minutes remaining mark in this race, and then just maybe potentially be thinking about taking a splash of fuel. It's kind of setting up to be that way. It really is. Yep, getting some cloud cover. You could be right. You could be right there, ATV. You're absolutely. Unfortunately, we can't check any of that stuff because unless one of our drivers has the radar up on their car right now, we're going to see what they're watching on their screening. So most of them are on the track map radar, which is expected. But it is the sunshine has definitely gone away, and rain at the end of the race really would shake things up, wouldn't it? We got Doug here in 4th position. We've got Mike here in 5th place. He's 5 seconds in behind, but closing. We got Hair Razor. He's closing a little bit here as well. We got Bar 27. He's chilling, and right now his battle is with that 8th place driver in behind, Supra, who is starting to close in on him here a little bit. 1.2 seconds now, that gap. Badass here's in no man's land right now, chilling, doing his thing. We got Type R here in 10th position. We got Ken Neely here in 11th place. So right now it is Happy Pappy that is leading the charge here at Red Bull Ring on lap 20, and you can see that fuel light still flashing, but again, this cup car is quite good on fuel, so that could mean 4 or 5 more laps yet here on the racetrack. So we'll see how long he continues to go around for, but to me it looks like he's going to take this thing right down till he's not going to have fuel to make another lap, and then that's when we're going to see the pit stops. 2-3 laps, we'll probably see our race leader come in. In the meantime, Pigums and Mark continue to close the gap up on our race leader here with 6.6. Now it's 4, and it continues to close here. Now these guys are on a fresh set of racing hard tires where they're up against about a half wore out set of tires up in front right now. Got Mark in third position. We've got Doug. He's 2 seconds in behind, so he's just only slightly losing pace of those guys currently on the track. Mike is pacing Doug right now, and in 5th place we got Hair Razor here in 6th, and just doing everything he can to try and close up that front pack, but they are just not giving him an inch. We got Bar 27 here in 7th place, and it's much of the same for him chasing down Hair Razor. Hair Razor's not giving Bar 27 an inch either, and Bar 27, every time he looks up in that rearview mirror now, he can see Supra there, that black, blue, and white Audi Cup car in behind, closing in bit by bit here as we head in through Ramus for the 21st time here. And the gap is only half a second right now between these two guys. We got Badass here in 9th place, and again, been away from sim racing for quite some time, so back on track here after about a year away from the sport. So we're happy to see him back out and putting in some seat time and getting back into the rhythm here. That's beautiful. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's all about. Sometimes the drivers need a break, and we totally understand that. So sometimes you just gotta step away and then come back when you're ready. And I think that's what we're seeing from some of the drivers in the community here. We've had lots of drivers take some time away and come back and feel refreshed and rejuvenated and continue on. So Pigham's gonna take back the race lead here, and I'm not sure what happened to Mark here, but he's now down into 3rd place battling with Doug Barrow here, and is side by side heading into Nicky Lauda Curve, and Doug Barrow's going to move up into 2nd place here, but Mark is not having any of that. He's looking to respond there. Doug is going to protect that inside line there as we head through the kink into turn number 2, and as we set up for Ramus here on lap 22, it is side by side action here in 2nd and 3rd place, and this is a battle for the bottom 2 podium positions here currently on the racetrack with just under 15 minutes remaining left in this race. So side by side through Ramus and heading down into turn number 4, we are still side by side. So as we head into Shawsgold here, it is side by side action. Deep on the brakes goes Mark, but he can't get the job done. Doug has the inside line and he gets a good run out of the corner, and Doug is going to defend 2nd place here, and we have a battle on our hands here today. Oh yeah, let's go. We said about 15 minutes remaining left in this race is when things are going to start kicking off, and all this is doing is giving Pigham's time to run away right now. So Pigham's 3.5 seconds up the road, but Doug and Mark having a cracking battle here right now on the racetrack, and they don't know. A little bit of mind games going on here right now. Doug parked that thing right in the middle of the racetrack, and he was forcing Mark to make a decision which way he was going to go. So we have definitely got a race on our hands here between 2nd and 3rd place, and this is going to be good for Mike chasing him behind here as well, because the more these two continue to fight, I should allow him to hopefully close back up. So here we go. Mark taking a look up the inside. Doug squeezing him super tight there, and then Mark not giving an inch, and it's going to be a cutback move coming around turn 1 there from Dugborough, but he's not going to be able to get it done. Mark just plants the power, rides out the slide, and just keeps enough momentum to keep Doug in behind. So Mark gets P2 back, and here we go. Battle re-engaged. Doug's now going to take a look up the inside. The old switcheroo in behind there gives him the inside line coming into Ramus here, and it should be a position, but oh, the switchback coming from Mark, and oh boy, the bag of tricks are being played here by these two racers, and Mark gets a great run coming through Ramus there, and he is going to slot back up into 2nd place ahead of Doug Burrow here. And oh my, this is a juicy fight right now here on the racetrack between these drivers, and side by side again defending the position is Mark. Doug on the outside, and Mark is going to hold the position here for now, and Pigham's just like, fight boys, fight, keep fighting, keep fighting. He is just driving away from this battle right now, but as you can see, Mike is lurking closer and closer in the background as we head midway through the worst curves here. So the more they continue to fight, the more opportunity lies for the drivers in behind. A huge exit there from Mark, and that was a wide exit there, and there it is. There's that penalty being served right there, and Doug is going to try and get the position. Defending the position is Mark. No, he's not going to get it. Doug's going to get the position back away from Mark, and Doug now moves himself back up in to second place. So Mark now finds himself re-engaged, and another half a second track limit penalty there for Mark, and it is going from bad to worse for him here right now in that crazy battle for second and third place. What a beauty that was. We got Happy Pappy here in 6th position, we got Supra in 7th, we got Bar 27 here in 8th place, we got Badass in 9th, we got Type R in 10th position, we got Ken Neely here in 11th place. So whew. All right, that was a battle. I know that battle is going on again in the background. Let's go. Let's get back to it. Doug and Mark fighting it out here again, and they're stealing the show here right now. They're glory hogs, but look at this great racing between these two. Doug Burrow and Mark just having an absolute feisty battle here right now with the last 15 minutes of this racetrack, and that was only 3 minutes of fighting here. We still got 11 minutes of this remaining. So inside, and he goes super deep. Mark does. Doug's looking for the cutback here on the exit. He's going to get a great run out of the corner, and it is side by side again as we head into the worst curves here for the 24th time. Ooh boy, are we fighting hard here in the cup cars, and I think there might have been a slight amount of contact there between the two drivers. A big slide there by Doug, and Mark making a mistake hooking that inside curb a little bit there, potentially giving a position back there as well. And a battle re-engaged here as Mark tucks right back in behind Doug here, and you can see I believe he has a penalty there. So now he's going to have to worry about that gentleman right there in 4th place, Mike 1972. He has closed up 5.5 seconds on Doug and Mark to now be involved in this battle for podium here at the end of this race. There is 10 minutes and 9 seconds remaining, and he is in a position now to potentially stand on the podium because of the hard battling between 2nd and 3rd place. Piggums, he's gone. 6.5 seconds up the road now. It's his race to lose at this point here today. Mark in 3rd place, Mike in 4th place. Everybody settled down for the time being. That's not going to last long. Got Hair Razor here in 5th place. We got Supra, Bar 27, and Happy Pappy here 6th, 7th, and 8th place, and something changed there. Supra now up into 6th place. Bar has gotten a position. Pappy's down 2 positions here, and is now Supra leading this mid-pack here in 6th place with Bar 27 very, very close in tow, and Happy Pappy here in 8th place. So these 3 cars only separated by a second right now on the racetrack. We got Badass in 9th place. He's got 17 seconds to those guys in behind. We got Type R in 10th position. We got Ken Neely here in 11th place. But this is the man right now who is looking to take the checkered flag first here today as he heads into the worst curve, and it is 6.4 seconds gap on Doug and Mark there. And Doug now is trying to run away here. He's got 1.1 seconds here over Mark. So it is game on here. So now Mark has to worry about Mike 1972 chasing in behind here. So those couple penalties that Mark picked up in that hard fighting there with Doug Burrow over the last 3 laps has really allowed Mike's 1972 to close up here, and now half a second in behind, so well in that slipstream. And Mark's still trying to catch up to Doug to re-engage that battle for 2nd place here as well, I'm sure. So this is going to quite potentially turn into a 3-way battle for the race lead for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place here before the end of this race. And I mean, you can see already Mark starting to close back up on Doug a little bit here. He's just about got that thing nipped back into slipstream range here, and it is closing down, but again, a half-second penalty. And penalties are the story of his race here at the end of the day today. We've got Hair Razor here in 5th. We got Super still leading the charge here in this mid-pack right now with Bar 27. They open a little gap on Pappy there, 1.2 seconds. Badass right there in 9th position here. We've got Type R rocking and rolling in 10th place. Well, won't you show me? There we go. Type R's car, please. Thank you. Type R here in 10th position, and Ken Neely is right there. He's tucked right in underneath the rear wing, basically, a Type R there in 11th place. And that's what we love to see. And everybody's still on the late lap here as well, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody is on the late lap still. That is what we most certainly love to see the most. So it is Piggums still leading the way here. And nothing to see there. We're definitely keeping our eye here on 2 packs right now on this field here as this race starts to wind down. We're just about at 7 minutes left in our event here today, and a half-second track limit penalty there for Subi again. And Mike is now going to be putting pressure on taking 3rd place away from Subi Mark there. And there we go. Mike is going to grab 3rd place with that penalty being served from Mark. And Mark now finds himself at the end of the podium, looking at it, chasing it, trying to get it back. We got Hair Razor here in 5th place. We got Supra in 6th, and Bar 27 trying to close in on him here. But Supra's had good pace. He's just managed to be able to keep Bar about a car and a half lengths between the two of them here at the end of the race so far. Pappy's starting to close back in here as well in 8th place. Got Badass there in 9th, Type R in 10th and 11th place, and Ken Neely here in 11th place, pardon me. So these drivers moving and grooving down the track here as well, doing the absolute best they can. They got about a straightaway here right now from the front side of this pack. So 7 minutes remaining in the race. Unless something drastic happens here, we shouldn't see lap traffic again this week. That'll be 2 weekends in a row here from the GTRC driving community, and I got to tell you what, that says something. It really does actually say something about our driving pools here this season. So GG's. Pigham's here in 1st place, 5.6 second gaps, just managing that gap right now. He's not overdriving the car, there's no need to. Doesn't need to give any time away, but he doesn't need to force himself to make more time right now either. He's probably aware that these guys have been battling pretty hard, as you can see some of that happening in his rearview mirror there for a little bit, but as he started to open that gap up, you could probably just assume that he knew that those guys were battling back there a little bit, and perfect when you're the race leader trying to open up a gap to see those guys fighting for those positions in behind you. We got Mark here in 4th place, and he's starting to close back in on Mike 1972 here, so we may see a battle for 3rd place brewing here very soon as well. Again, there's only 5.5 minutes remaining in this race, so there's not a whole lot of time anymore to be patient. We're going to start seeing drivers attacking here pretty soon if they get an opportunity. We got Bar 27 here in 7th place, and again, just not able to close that gap on Super right now. Got Happy Pappy there in 8th. We got Badass here in 9th position. We've got Type R here in 10th place as well. It's pretty clean, simple Liberty coming from Type R there on that car as well. And then we've got Ken Neely here, and that's funny, you know, he's got the same color shift paint on his car as I had on my very first Audi car as well. So I like that. I dig it. I dig it. You're just missing a minion on there, my dude. You need a minion. Minions make you go faster, don't you know? Alright, so it's Pigham's here in the race lead, and he's given up a little bit of time here and there, but again, I don't think he's really he's not panicking right now. He knows what's going on around him. Doug Burrow here, he's just keeping Mark and Mike just out of the slipstream here. So we have seen a battle switch for position here now. So Mark has gotten back up onto the 3rd place step of the podium here. Now Mike's chasing back for that 3rd step on the podium here, but 2-second track limit penalty here for Mark, and that is most certainly going to probably end his charge for a podium here today now, as Mike is just going to get that free pass back into 3rd place there, and it has been penalty woes for Subi Mark here at the end of this race, and potentially just cost him a podium position there today. We got Pigham's here in the race lead, 5.2 seconds up the road from Doug Burrow. Doug Burrow's got 1.3 seconds on Mike now, so he's got a cushion. Wouldn't say it's comfortable, but it's a cushion. Mark here is 2.5 seconds in behind Mike here now as well. He has got some work to do to close that gap up, and I mean, those 4 drivers have been closely paced all day long, so to close up 2.5 seconds up in about 2.5 laps is going to be a pretty big ask here. We got Supra in 6th place. He's still managing that gap on Bar 27 here in 7th place. I do suspect that we may potentially see this fight before the end of the race here, as Bar 27 is trying to close the gap up here to Supra, and he's actually got a good run here coming up the front straight, so heading into the Niki Lauda curve. Let's see if he's got the big run here, or is he going to look for the run heading up into Ramus, potentially turn number 3 here. Still about 0.4 of a second, so we're pretty equally paced, these two, all race long. Happy Pappy just in behind here, 3.8 seconds. So we've got Badass here and Type R and Ken Neely, and this is this battle developing here very quickly. A little mistake, I think, made there by our 9th place driver, and that has drawn our 10th and 11th place drivers into the mix, and we got a 3-way battle at the backside of our racing track here now as well. So that's fun. That is fun. It does look like the weather is going to hold here. That cloud cover's kind of passed, and we got some partly cloudy and sunny skies here at the point now on the racetrack. So the potential surprise factor of rain at the end of the race doesn't seem to be playing out here today. So it looks like the drivers are going to get good weather conditions here today, but it did definitely look a little sketchy there for a bit as the weather definitely started to cloud over. But Pickham's just come around here, and it's going to be 2 to go as he takes that start finish line there. It's going to be Doug and Mike 1972, and this is nose to tail here now between these two. And this is going to be a battle for second and third place, I think, here before the end of this race. Subi Mark here is 2.7 seconds in behind. Just falling apart there with these penalties on the racetrack here. Race control really likes that driver apparently here today. We got Hair Razor here in 5th place. We've got Supra in bar 27. And again, that gap is a 10th closer every time we come around here, but bar 27 is running out of time. This is probably the final lap for these two guys, so if he's going to get it done, he needs to get it done this time around. We got Happy Pappy here in 8th place. We got Badass in 9th position there, and a 1.5 second track limit penalty, and that may put him down to the back of the field here in 11th position, and that's unfortunate. You hate to see it, but hey, racing is racing. Alright, so it is Pickham's here, and we're going to stick with our race leader here. We're going to keep an eye on this for a second, though, because there's lots happening on the racetrack right now. Great three-way battle happening up in the back part of the pack here right now, too. So Pickham's 6.2 seconds up the road here, and as he comes through, he is going to go around one more time here. So we just wanted to make sure that he was actually going to get one more lap. We don't want to miss him crossing the start-finish line for the final time here today. So it is going to be Pickham's here to take the white flag lap here. Final lap today here at Red Bull Ring from our Audi TT Cup season opener. Doug Burrow and Mike are going to just slip through as well. So final lap for second and third place here in this battle is going to be game on. Subi Mark's going to come through here. It's going to be one more lap for him as he rolls through as well in 4th place. So there is still potential opportunity him for the grab podium as well. Hair Razor's coming through, and he is also going to be on his final lap here. So it's going to be this battle right here, which right now bar 27 is ahead of Supra. So somewhere bar 27 made the move, and this was a good timing as our drag racing to the start finish line is going to be bar 27 to take 6th place. It's going to be a 7th place finish for Supra. Congratulations to both them drivers. Happy Pappy with a good solid 8th place finish here today. Type R is going to bring it home here potentially in 9th place, but we can't say that yet as this is a nose to tail 3-way battle here in the backside of the pack, and a huge slide there from Type R as he loses the back end of the car, and that is going to create a 3-wide situation here heading into turn number 7, leading into turn number 8, and Ken Neely's going to grab up a spot there, so he's going to move himself up into 9th place. Badass is going to be in 10th, and Type R is going to drop down into 11th position there, so whew, that was a little fun right at the end of the race there, and Ken Neely grabs 2 spots out of that little transition right there. But boy, Badass is making a run here, and is it going to be a drag race to the finish line here as Badass is chasing? And no, Ken Neely is just gonna hold out there. It's gonna be Badass in 10th place and Type R in 11th position. That was great racing by our last 3 drivers here in the field today, but it is a huge congratulations season opener win here for 1010 Sim Racing Piggums, and a great way to defend his defense of that championship title. Doug Burrow holds Mike 1972 off for second place, and it's a great 3rd place finish there for Mike 1972. Subi Mark with a tough race finish there for him in 4th place. I'm sure he's going to be a little upset about how that race went, but showing great pace out there today. And Hair Razor is going to be our final driver here to bring it across the start finish line in a 5th place overall finish here today. And congratulations to all 11 of our competitors there today. That was some pretty good racing right there. Some pretty good cup racing right there from all our drivers. We get the black screen of death there. That was lovely. All right, so let's check out those finishing results there. So it is Piggums with the race win and the pole position here, but it's going to be fastest lap going to Subi Mark there in 4th place. So finds himself missing out on the podium here today due to penalty trouble at the end of the race, but does pick up that bonus point at least for the fastest lap on the racetrack. So salvaging a little bit there out of his race today. We got Hair Razor in 5th, bar 27 in 6th, Supra in 7th, and Happy Pappy in 8th place. We got Ken Neely in 9th, Badass in 10th, and Type R in 11th position. Now this, of course, course, is all unofficial results. As the race is finished, there's going to be a 24-hour window for drivers to file any incident reports that may need to be looked at by our stewarding officials. From there, of course, stewarding officials, if need be, will take a look at those said incidents, make their assessments, handle the penalties if penalties need to be handed out, and from there, of course, standings and final results are released. So that was some great racing right there by our field, and GG's to all our drivers. So now we're going to jump into Discord here. We're going to flip back over to this screen for a momento. And go jump into Discord. Oops. I keep hitting the wrong buttons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll just give a couple of minutes here for the drivers to make their way up to our interview area here on the racetrack. And then we'll have a little chat with our podium finishers here today. Now, our race winner, TT Piggums, typically has a couple of races going on Saturdays and may not make the interviews here today, but we most certainly will probably see Doug and Mike here to come and give their point of views on the race here today. And that was a doozy of a race today. From all 11 of our drivers, no matter where it was in the pack that they were. There was good fights and good battles happening everywhere. Some drivers had a little more struggles than others here in round one today, but again, with the races being every other weekend, it gives them lots of time to practice, train, get these cars set up, make sure they're in optimal running condition, and all the great stuff that comes around these great organized leagues. So great season opener here at Red Bull Ring in this Audi TT Cup car from all our racers, and we're going to go jump over and do some podium interviews. All right, just making sure everything's working before we do said podium interviews. All right. All right, so we do have our third and second place driver here, as I suspected we would, and as I suspected, we're probably going to be missing Piggums, so that's all right. We'll speak on Piggums' behalf here when we get to that point, but for now, we're going to start with our third place driver, Mike 1972. Now, he had a really good season opener in the Group 2 series last weekend as well, and today, again, before the lobby crashes. Good call. Save replays, drivers, if you haven't saved your replays yet. Coming in today, he came in with a very, it seemed like pretty predetermined strategy. He was chill, he was calm, he was cool, collected on the racetrack. He didn't ever really force a battle or make an aggressive offensive move. He just chilled, and opportunity struck. He was there to take advantage and finds himself sitting in third place overall. Very close race finisher. Good charge to try and catch Doug for that second overall here today, but finds yourself on that third place step today. How was the racing out there at Red Bull Ring, and how was it racing in these front wheel drive cars today?
Yeah, it was very close racing, and the cars just awesome fun little things to drive. Can be a little bit tricky to control once the rear tires go cold, but still, all in all, a fun little race. And yeah, third place 2 weeks in a trot. Very unlike me, so I'm glad.
Well, I mean, consistency is key, right? I mean, we hear
Yeah,
driving instructors and team captains all over the sim racing community say that to their drivers all the time. Consistency really is key, and typically when championships are handed out in league racing, they're not handed out to the driver because they won every race of the season, right? They usually get handed out to the most consistent driver throughout the season. So, in my opinion, I think you're on to a pretty great start to both your seasons, showing consistent podium results, anyways, so far. But tough fighting out there. I mean, these TT Cup cars we were talking to the chat. They're very similar to Miata style racing. When you have a one make series with these cars, they punch a big hole in the air because of the design of these cars. So slipstream really plays a factor with these cars, and it showed when you were in the slipstream. It was nose to tail racing. The moment you lost that slipstream, you started to lose that pack. So does that play on your mind as a racer when you're going around the racetrack coming into the season, kind of seeing now that the slipstream really is kind of an important part of this one make series this season? Does that change your strategy, I guess, heading into round two in a couple weeks' time? And did you notice that, of course, as well during the race today?
yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I picked up a penalty, a second penalty, just as Doug decided to pit. I was actually going to pit that lap myself, but with him pitting in front of me, I thought, well, there was no point going in to carry a second penalty out onto the next lap. So I just applauded round, did my penalty, waited another, I think it was 2 laps before I pitted. But yeah, once you're out of slipstream, it is a little difficult to catch back up. But Mark and Doug had a little tussle up ahead of me, and they were just allowed me a little bit to catch up just before the end there. So yeah, it was quite good.
Absolutely, and really the deciding factor, I think, in the race here today too was that early battle between Soupy Mark and Doug Burrow, and I mean, you were like I said, you were just chilling, you were just sitting there,
Yep.
staying close, cool, calm, collected, letting those two kind of do their thing, and opportunity struck, and you were there to take advantage and find yourself again standing on the podium here today. But yeah, that's racing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we talked about that on the live stream. What was happening? These two continue to battle. Mike is going to, close that 5.5 second gap, and sure enough, you did. So, patience sometimes pays off in racing as well, and definitely a patient guy here today, and great racing from you. And I guess with that being said, anything you want to add to the race today, and any shout outs or thank yous you'd like to throw to the viewers watching at home as well.
Yeah, just as usual. Thanks to the guys for organising it all. They do a great job, and thanks to yourself for the great job in commenting.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate the great racing and the great battling again this week here for between you and Doug especially here. And well, next week is Group Two, round number two. So
Yep.
we'll let you get back to that garage and start getting prepared for that high paced action series for next week. And congratulations on a great race finish here today as well.
Thank you very much, and hopefully speak to you again next week.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that is Mike. That's 2 weeks in a row we've talked to that amazing gentleman here. He has shown some great consistency on the racetrack here, leading up into the season and past seasons, and definitely looks like he's ready to fight for a championship here in the GTRC racing community this season, doesn't he, chat? He looks great out there so far. Well, let's talk to this man. We're no stranger to talking to our second place finisher. We talked to this man a fair bit here at the GTRC. He's a very a quick racer. He's consistent, and due to those reasons, he's always fighting in the front edge of the field. Typically, we do have Doug Burrow here in second place from Team Rad. Had a very, very scrappy race here today. This driver typically likes to control the pace. He likes to be in the lead, and he likes to try to control the flow of the race. And found himself having some really hard battles to try and get to that point here today. So congratulations on a very hard fought second place finish today, and talk us through your race today, because boy, it was a spicy one for you.
Yeah, it was a good one. Lost battling, managed to get up to first and controlling the pace, but I'm going to bring up the tyres. We found out in the practice before, and we did a 20-minute race, and I'd used quarter more than the wheel users, and the other pad users were about the same as me. So after 25 minutes of racing, I knew my tyres were dying. I was coming in then anyway. It was a shame to pick up an early penalty, and I was trying to hold that lead with the penalty to lose as little time as possible. And I just got a little tap at the back end, which forced me wide. I lost 2 positions there, then another one off the penalty. So I was like, oh no. But it's one of those things. I wasn't losing Piggy towards the end of the race. I had a good pit stop. I probably put a little bit too much fuel in, but I had a good pit stop. And the gap was staying about even. From what I could tell, looking at his car, there was the odd lap ride gain on him a little bit, and the odd lap ride lose on him a little bit. And that's obviously where the cold tyres are kicking in at the end of this race. This one's a bad one for the rear tyres because there's no real long stretches to get lots of speed and lots of heat into the tyres. Although it should be, because you're using, like a lot of us have got our brakes set to the rear, that should be helping keep the tyres warm, but it really isn't around this short circuit. There's not enough time to pick up speed, to build up friction, to move those molecules around to create heat in those tyres. So some of the other tracks won't be as bad as this. Some will be as bad as this. But yeah, it was a good race. It was unlucky for Mark to pick up his penalties. But I know how he feels, and it's harsh and it's gutting, but it was a good race. I had a good race with Piggy in that lot in the first half, good race with Mike in the second half, and a little bit with Mark in the second half till he got his penalties. So yeah, I was hoping to do a little bit better than second, but there's only one spot better than second, and I made a silly comment to Piggy before the race, so I was never going to win it. He said it should be about 30 seconds, 37 laps. I said to him, no, I'm going to do 38, mate. You just need to drive faster. And then I was like, oh, no, what have I done? I was just joking, Piggy. But obviously, he took it to heart.
Well, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, you yourself, Mark, and Mike, really all had the opportunity to battle for that lead at the end of the race potentially. But of course, that battle between yourself and Mark there was about 15 minutes left in the race there, of course, just allowed Piggums to open up that gap to a point where he could do exactly what you like to do and just could kind of control the pace of the race from there, right? So, just a little bit of late race decision, and that's racing, ladies and gentlemen. Situational thing happened on the racetrack that just gave Piggums about a 5-second gap, and really that's when you got drivers like Doug and Mark and Mike and Hairraiser and Piggums, and that's just to name the guys that were at the front of the field today specifically, but they're all very equally paced. They're typically separated by hairs when it comes to time trialing and qualifying for these races. So when you're trying to close a gap up on a driver that is that close a pace to you, it is extremely hard to gain any time. You're really relying on those drivers to make mistakes or pick up the penalties. And in Mark's case today, a tough race for him. He had great pace here today, but the end of the race penalties really did hurt that driver. And we did see at the beginning of the broadcast that the key moments here at Red Bull Ring are really going to be drivers not picking up those penalties, because the penalties will ruin your race here. And race control definitely loved Mark here today. But that's usually your deal. Usually you pick up the late race penalty that takes you out of that fight, but
Yeah.
that didn't happen here today for you. So there's a positive. And I mean, you look at out there, if it wasn't for that early battling or late battling, I think with Mark, I think there would have been a great 4-way battle for the win of this race here today. And if this is an inclination of what this series is going to provide for the remaining 7 rounds of racing, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to put this on your calendar, because it's only going to get tighter and tighter. I mean, how was it out there? The TT Cup cars are loved and hated all at the same time by most of the sim racing community. Front wheel drive factor, obviously, here. I mean, how did you feel behind the car and around the racetrack today? And how did you feel that the drivers handled the race car track combo here today as well?
I liked it. I like the front wheel drive cars. They're a bit of fun. They're things that people don't always drive unless it's time trialing in the Group 4s, and then the front wheel Mazda seems to be the meta. And people don't complain then. But no, the Audi's always been a good handling little car. I mean, the rear tires get colder than they should do now, but it's you race what you got in front of you. It's good. It's good fun. When it gets a bit loose, it can be hairy, it can be fun, it can be all over the place. It can, it's the car that got voted in by the community to be used. You know what I mean? It was a close one between 2 front wheel drive cars, the Audi or the Civic Touring. So, I mean, in amongst our community, we like to race everything. We have our I'm not going to say the actual word. I'm just going to say Fun Fridays, where we jump in any old random stuff. We practice all week in the car, so we get used to it. I think a lot of people that are anti the front wheel drive cars just never really give them a go. You know, they can be pretty good. Okay, they're going to wear those front tires, but other than that, you know, if you can find a way around that, they're good fun cars. And to go back to what you were saying about the how close the front group are, I think me, Piggy, and Mark on the grid were separated by 1/10 of a second. You know, so yeah, it's good close racing, and it's a shame we got in a battle at the end, as you said. But you know, it could have been closer at the end. But I don't trust the tyre wear towards the end of the race to allow someone to get in front and try and lead me up to the car ahead if I feel I can slowly make grounds as well. You know what I mean? Towards the end of the race, for me, it's so much harder to get a position than it is to hold the position.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I go with that. I go with that. With 10 minutes left to go, I can't give up a position, because with 7 minutes left to go, I've not got the acceleration out the corners in these cars that the wheel users have, and I've not quite got the turning that the wheel users have. So I've just got to use. I mean, I had to park it a few times to not lose position. So you know, yeah, it's a great car. It's a great little series. I think it's going to be anyway. There's some good tracks for the cars. There's some short tracks, some longer tracks. You know, it's all over the place, but it should be fun. It should be fun.
Absolutely. And like I said, if it's any indication what the rest of the season is going to be today, it's only going to get tighter and tighter and more insane. I mean, we had great pack racing all through the field. There was always a battle, no matter where we seemed to be looking on the field. There was a couple of cars either nose to tail or trying to battle for that position. But I would definitely say that was you and Mark that kind of stole the show here today with that absolutely great 3, 4, 5 lap battle there, where you're pretty much side by side the whole racetrack. But you know, nonetheless, great racing from the whole community and from the drivers. We had 11 drivers start today. We had 11 drivers finish today, and every one of those 11 drivers, ladies and gentlemen, finished on the lead lap. Every one of them.
Yeah, that's
So
really good. That's really good.
that's 2 weeks in a row now. We've seen our drivers stay on the lead lap here in endurance racing here from the Gran Turismo racing community. So that just goes to show that practice makes perfect, and that the competitive driving pool for each series is fairly closely paced as well, which also provides for good racing. So one more quick question: what is it like to transition from the Group 2 car and then into this Cup car, and then have to go back to that high downforce car again? What is that transition period like?
I'm about to find out because Razor set up a Group 2 room. No, it's not too bad for me. I mean, you've raced with me many, many times. I'm in a different car every race. I try to jump about so that nothing comes as too much of a shock. I mean, going from the Group 4 to the Group 2, just due to the speed part will be, but with regards to your turning and that, I think with the amount of practice we do, it's all about muscle memory. It's about, right, you know, you've got to brake at this point, you know, you've got to brake at this pressure, you know, you've got to turn in at this amount, you know, you've got to feather the throttle out. And I mean, the acceleration out isn't too different, because in a Group 2, you can't just jam the throttle down. And in a Group 4 front wheel drive car, you can't just jam the throttle down. So, you know, the transition out of the corners is relatively similar. It's just, you know, you use your memory of the circuits to remember where your braking points are, and then it's not too massive uh, a change. I mean, 2 laps and you should be back in it, sort of thing. You know, because you just go by, right, I remember what I'm doing here. I mean, if it was a brand new track, very different. But all these tracks we all know now. We all bash this game out every night, racing each other every night, which I think is one of the reasons we can race as close as we do to each other, because you know we just know each other's driving styles and we can go side by side through corners. There's still the odd tap here and there, but you know it's never usually to the extent where it's going to take someone off. So you know, for me it's not too bad. I can't speak for others on it, but I mean for me it's not too bad. Long-winded answer, but there you go.
Still a great answer, nonetheless. I mean, it was
Thank
just
you.
a great racing today, because as always, a great performance from yourself. And you know, Pickens is kind of that thorn in your side right now, right? He comes in and he just keeps ruining that 5th championship title that you've been chasing. So, I
He's
mean,
doing my head in. He's going to get it before me. I know it. I know it.
I mean, is that the goal this season? Is really just to try and find a way to beat Pickham's this season?
It's as always. My goal is not to come last. I want to finish as high as I can. As long as I'd like to be on the podium at the end of the season. The stars are important, but for me, I mean, I love it, and as a group of us in the admin, we're all picking this stuff together, and we're chucking ideas out for what to do for each season. And I think it would look a bit weird if an admin driver absolutely caned the season and won every race, and kept building up these the stars and that lot on their cars, because it's like, well, you're obviously picking these for you, but what we do is we pick the community picks what we do. We chuck out a load of ideas that we think are going to be good for another season, and the community picks what we race. And I think with the Audi TT and the Group 2, fantastic choices. We don't see a lot of Group 2, so that's cool. I don't think I've seen an Audi one I've seen Audis in seasons before because it's been a mixed season, but a one make Audi, the cars look fantastic around the track. And I just want to beat Pig. No, I just want to finish near the top somewhere, just to so I know I'm not falling off the pace, because I'm getting sicker and things like that. So as long as I'm not falling off the pace too much and things like that, I'm happy. Sorry, another long-winded answer. Went off on a tangent and everything.
Well, nonetheless, I mean, congratulations again on a great race, and
Thank you very
I
much,
mean,
mate.
the most important part of every interview, the shout outs, the thank yous, any shout outs and thank yous you want to send out there to the viewers watching at home.
Well, big shout out to Piggy and to Mark, obviously, and to Mike. I say Mark, obviously. Us four had a fantastic battle throughout the whole race. Apart from the last few minutes, it was a great one. Massive thank you to you as always, and massive thank you to you again as always. I always say thank you to you twice. Cheers to Rad for letting me run the colours and teammates involved. And thanks to anyone who was watching. I hope it was a good race. Hope we gave you plenty to talk about. And yeah, just thanks to everybody. Thanks to the rest of the admin that put this together, and we've managed to knock it out in time, so it should be a good one. Thank you.
Absolutely, and great start to the Audi TT Cup Series season for you, and we'll see you next weekend in the Group 2 Round 2s at, it looks to be, Grand Valley Speedway, ladies and gentlemen. Deep Forest, pardon me. Deep Forest.
Deep Forest.
I get the two mixed up all the time.
Should be fun.
So, Group
Don't
2
we all,
is
mate?
Deep Forest. We just seen that in daily races just a couple of weeks ago. So, oh yeah, we're in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. But again, congratulations, and probably talk to you next weekend.
Yes, bud. Take it easy, man. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we do not have Piggums, and again, he's usually a racing machine on the weekends. He's probably off to his next competitive race in his next league. So Piggums is a man of very few words when he does come to the podium interviews. For the most part, he would definitely talk about the difficulty factor of these cars and how hard they are to drive. It's very easy to have the back end slide out on these cars due to what Doug was touching base on. The rear tires not staying fully warm, so they cool down, and that creates a little bit of rear tire slide, and that creates a little bit of interesting driving for our drivers. It's not going to be like that for every round, but definitely on these shorter racetracks where they don't have big long runs, it's going to be very hard to keep the tire temperatures up in the rear tires of these front wheel drive cars, and that is just going to add to the complication factor of the season. Kind of intentional. Nonetheless, a great racing by all 11 drivers. We had great battles throughout the whole pack. We've seen some drivers coming back, returning to the league racing. We got some new faces, and we got, of course, a whole bunch of our returning competitors here in this season as well. Happy Pappy looked great out there today, had great pace coming in to this TT Cup series. He looked great with those Group Car series as well. Happy Pappy could be the dark horse this season. Great racing by that top four again. Subi Mark, the penalties, the demise of his race, really essentially great battling with Doug Burrow for second and third place there for a while, and I think ultimately that hard battling just it made a downward spiral into taking penalties due to just pushing hard due to the fighting, and at the end of the day, for unfortunately for that driver, just taking him out of that podium fight. But congratulations to Mike 1972, of course, Doug Barrow, and TT Piggums. But Piggums would congratulate the whole driving community. He would he would say thank you to all the drivers and great job to all the drivers. Most likely probably make note that nobody got lapped this week here again as well. So that says a lot, ladies and gentlemen. It really does. As a league organizer and a commentator, I see a lot of league races, and lap traffic is a regular thing in these kind of endurance style racing. So to have 2 weeks of racing in a row with 2 completely different cars, so starting with the Group 2s last weekend and then jumping into these Group 4 Audi Cup cars this weekend, there's a big difference between the 2 cars. Lots of speed difference, and aerodynamic grip difference is huge between the 2 cars. Obviously, front wheel drive also playing a big role on these Cup cars as well. So there's a big difference between the 2 cars, and the fact that these drivers were able to transition within 7 days and get behind the wheel of those cars and put on 2 absolutely just top-notch races, clean and just good hard fighting here from this community. We're in for a doozy of a season this season, potentially going to be the best season ever here, I think, for the Gran Turismo racing community, and that's in large part due to all you guys and gals watching at home. So thank you to viewers. Most importantly, thank you to all of you watching at home, the ladies, the gentlemen, the kids, the pets, everybody that's chilling out, the cats that are swatting at the race cars on the racetrack trying to get them, whatever it may be. We appreciate all the support in every household and every business across the world, because we got a pretty big range of viewers nowadays, and we appreciate it. So it's because of you that we continue to do this. It's because of you guys and gals at home and at work and wherever it is that you view from that we continue to try and make it look better, sound better, and try to make the racing faster, harder, and closer. I'm again your host for the evening, GT45 Gaming. Great racing from our community here as always. Congratulations to TT Piggums for his first place finish, Doug Barrow for his second place finish from Team Rad, and Mike 1972 coming in independent driver for his third place finish. So we're seeing the usual suspects up there battling up front, but I don't think we're going to see the usual suspects on the podiums every week. I think that we're going to see a lot of different podium finishers this week. That kind of seems to be the trend that we're seeing already this season, and we got 8 more rounds of Group 2 racing and 7 more rounds of TT Cup racing for everybody. So like I said, 3 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays, pencil in the GTRC, the Gran Turismo racing community, on your schedule, because we'll be live bringing all the action to your big screens. Thank everybody for coming in. Please do us a favor, if you haven't liked and shared the stream already, if you wouldn't mind doing so before you leave the broadcast today, that'd be absolutely spectacular of you. It's free to do, it takes just a couple extra seconds. And if you like the content, you're new to the pages, and you want to see more, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the YouTubes and that follow over on Facebook. Turn on all your live notifications, and every time we have one of these great races up on the screen, you'll get notified, so you never miss a second of the live action here from Gran Turismo racing community. We appreciate you all. Remember, you all matter. Don't keep it in. You need to talk. There's always somebody willing to listen. Get it out there. Reach out, myself included. My community always has their doors open to listen. We're here for you. We appreciate you all. Stay winning, and we'll catch you on the next one. So the next commentary is going to be Pure Racing League. It's going to be the Master Series season opener here tomorrow. That'll be ran at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and you know it, it'll be live right here on GT45 Gaming. And we'll have our 2-hour endurance race from GT Champion Season 6 Round 8 live here on the GT45 Gaming channels here in a couple hours time, as I am back on track competing here now that we have finished up our Race Asylum season there from North America, the BRZ series. We are back on track finishing up our championship season over at GT Champions as well. So we'll see y'all in a couple hours. Appreciate y'all again. Like I said, lots of love coming in from both the channels, and we'll be back live in a couple hours to hopefully go win a 2-hour race at Mount Panorama. That's right, we heading to Australia, chat. Appreciate y'all. Keep it cool out there, keep it fast, stay safe. We'll catch y'all on the next one.